Hello, Algebra 2 students, and welcome back to Chapter 9. Today, we are going to be tackling 9.3, okay, which is adding and subtracting. In 9.2, we did multiplication and division, which, you know, normally you think that those are harder, right? Those you learn after addition and subtraction, but in reality, because rational expressions, these things here, are ratios, remember, of polys. These are actually going to be significantly harder because we're trying to add and subtract fractions, right? So if we think about adding and subtracting fractions from back when we were in grade school, what do we always need? Well, we need a common denominator, right? We need a common denominator. So here when I'm thinking about 6 and 9, I'd be thinking about, like, what's the first thing that 6 and 9 hit? Now, I did say first thing. I don't want to just make it 6 times 9. I want the first thing, right? That's actually known as the least common divisor, or least common denominator, which I think would be 18 for this 6 and this 9, which means this would have to be times 3. Of course, we've been through this, right? You take 6 times 3. Oh, if you take the bottom times 3, you have to take the top times 3. Okay, and that'd be what? 15 over 9 plus... Okay, well, how do I get to 18 here? I'd have to... Of course, that's funny. I said to multiply, and I didn't even do it over here. I'm sure some of you were wondering, like, what are you doing? 6 times 3, this thing here, I think, is 18. That's 15 on the top. So 15 over 18. Then plus whatever. Oh, 9 times... Well, what do I have to multiply 9 by to get to this 18? Well, that's 2. If I do it to the bottom, I do it to the top. So that's 8/18. Now that I have a common denominator, right, I know that it's going to be something out of 18. The something is whatever 15 plus 8 is, which I think is 23. Can I simplify that at all? No. So I just circle it. Okay, same type of thing over here. Sometimes the first thing they hit is their multiplication, right? So I'd have to multiply this one by 5, this one by 5, which would make this 10. This one by 7, this one by 7, which would make this one, well, 7 times 8, I think is 56. Now, you usually get pretty clever at this when you're a kid, right? You have this thing. 10 minus 56 would be a negative 46 over, oh, it's 7 times 5, so that's 35. Do those share anything? I don't think so. And there's our answer. Okay, we're going to be doing that now, but with polynomials. So here, when I'm looking at polynomials, it says find the sum or difference. Of course, at this point, you need to be pausing the video. Again, I'm not going to tell you when to pause the video. You need to do that for yourself and write down the notes. I'd pause the video here, get these written down. Here, when I look at it, 4x and 4x, they already match. They already have a common denominator. Oh, that makes that easy. That's 10 over 4x. Hey, but from last class, we know that this 4 and this, they cancel. That's a 5 and a 2. So what's my final answer? Well, that's 5 over 2x. And what are the excluded values? Well, what can x not be? Well, x can't be 0 here. Okay. So that's not too bad. If we look over here, oh, same type of things going on. Already got a common denominator, so that's x plus 6 on the bottom. Common denominator doesn't change. Now, I've talked about this before. This is like parenthesized here. I don't like this minus sign, so I'll do plus, a negative, positive. What's 2x minus x? Oh, well, that'll be x. 2x, or so 2x minus x is x, and then I have a positive 5, oh, plus 5. Well, what's the excluded values? Well, excluded value here, x can't be negative 6. Can I cancel this x and this? Of course not. You never do that to me. You guys should be getting really good at not doing that. Okay. All right, so in general, how do we do this? Here's where you need to pause the video as I'm scrolling and stop it when you need to so you can write down the notes. Okay, now we're moving on. Here's our first problem. Okay, again, write it down. So says find the sum or the difference. Great. Well, I got to make common denominators. The LCD, what you hear me say a lot, is kind of like what's missing or what should I make a match. Well, this 5 and this 30, what's the first thing they hit? I think the first thing they hit is actually, or this 5 and this 6 is 30. Okay, well, this has x squared. Can I go from an x squared, having 2 of them, down to having 1? Well, not without dividing again, right, and making another fraction. I don't want to do that. So instead, maybe I'll give this version over here another x. So the common divisor would be x squared. Okay, well, how do I get there? This is the part that I start to get some students on here. I have to make, okay, I have to make the denominators, both of them, this least common divisor. So what do I have to do to this 5x squared to get to 30? Well, I multiply it by 6. Do I have to do anything to get the x squared? Well, no, it's already there. But I multiplied the bottom by 6, so I got to multiply the top by 6. Over here, how do I get this 6x, okay, specifically the 6, to a 30? Well, I multiply it by 5. Okay, well, that'll take care of the 30, but how do I get this x squared? Well, I'll need another x. Oh, I multiply the bottom by 5x, I got to do the top. Okay, well, now if I work through this, I would have a 40x over there. I would have an 18 over here. And on the bottom, I have my common divisor, right? My least common divisor of 30x squared. Don't forget this was a subtraction problem here. And now, do not simplify. Don't do that because that's going to undo all the work, the hard work we just did. Now I just do the math here. This is plus a negative. Oh, okay. Now normally we write the x's first, so this is negative 40x plus 18 all over 30x squared. Okay. Hopefully you understand how I got to there. Now, basically, this is the new problem. If I would have given this back in 9.1, right, this problem here in 9.1, what would you have done? Well, you would have looked at it, right, and you would have said, okay, the bottom doesn't cancel, doesn't factor, but this top does. What comes out of it? Oh, man, what goes into 40 and 18? Well, 2 goes into them for sure. Does anything bigger go into them? I don't know. I know 2 does for sure. Let's take 2 out and let's see what happens. This is negative 20x plus 9 all over this 30x squared. Again, we have to take that out. Now that the 2's out here, it's no longer tied inside, right? This 2 cancels with that, makes this a 15. Well, what would I have now? I have a negative 20x plus 9 over 15x squared. Now, normally, we would think we're done, right? Normally, we would think we're done. Thing is, we got to check for excluded values. What can, oh, I don't want to put an equal sign. What can x not be? Well, clearly down here, it can't be 0, right? Let's see if there's any other time that it can't be 0. So like 0 there, that's a problem. I don't see anything else. I feel pretty good. This is the answer. All right, let's try another one here. Okay. Well, here, right, when I'm looking at this thing, I need an LCD. Well, this one here has an x plus 1. X plus 1. Now, here's the thing that I see from students all the time. I see students want to do this. Just add 1 here, and then it'll be x plus 2. Well, tell me, when you did 1/2 plus 1/6, could you just add 4 to this down here? Could you do it just like that? Like here, maybe I'll even do this problem. 1/2 plus 1/6, I think is what I had. Some of you want to just, oh, let's just add 4. Oh, add 4, so that's 5 over 6. First of all, is 5/6 the same thing as 1/2? Are these two things equal? Well, of course not. Of course those aren't the same thing, right? 5/6 is clearly, if you have 5/6 of a pizza versus somebody who only has half of a pizza, clearly you have more pizza, right? So these aren't the same. That means you can't just add things, and you know that. You do know that. It's just that you're not used to seeing it in the form of polynomials. So you can't just add one. Instead, we have to think about what's missing. We need to be thinking about these things as independent factors. Well, this side over here, right, like this whole, let me get a highlighter. This thing right here has an x plus 1. It is missing an x plus 2. So that means then I have to get an x plus 2. Okay, clearly x plus 2 needs to be there. Well, we just said that it has an x plus 1, so I need an x plus 1 as well. Well, alright, does that take care of my other side? Like, let's look. Here, this green, it has x plus 2, great, x plus 2 over here. It's missing an x plus 1. If I were to put it right there, oh, then it would match. Okay, well then what will both have? Well, this one over here, right, my yellow one, needs this x plus, or I'm sorry, not the x plus 2 there. It needs this x plus 2, right? X plus 2 then. Notice how I put it in parentheses. Now if I do that to the bottom, got to do it to the top. Okay, well we come over here to the green, right? Come over here to this green one. Get this out of my way. Well, what's the bottom missing? Well, it needs an x plus 1. Now if I multiply the bottom by x plus 1, I got to do it to the top. Okay. Now when we go to do this, before I subtract, right, I think I'll put a plus, a minus 7 here. And here's what you do. You're going to distribute this. So what will that give me? That'll give me 10x plus 20. Plus, right here, right, this is getting dropped down, plus, oh, now distribute this. That's a negative 7x squared. And then that's a negative 7x. Well, these are this whole thing is all up top. Do you see anything that can combine? I think this 10x here goes with this negative 7. That would be what, 3x? That negative 7x squared should probably come first. Positive 3x, positive 20. Now this was on top, right? This was on top. What is on the bottom? Well, we did this. This is that least common divisor. X plus 2, x plus 1. Okay, well, now that we've simplified it, I should take some time and make sure I know the excluded values. X can't be, well, negative 2 or negative 1 here because of the bottoms, right? Because of this bottom. Now, does the top factor at all? Is this thing going to factor? Well, 7 times 20 would be 140. That seems awfully mean to think that that would factor. Okay, this in fact is not, and this is the answer. This is the first really complex problem. Please make sure you go back and you rewatch it. Okay, so I got this sum and difference here. I want to do this one, this guy here, and then this one. So I got 3 examples left, okay, to get through in this video. The video right now is at 13 minutes. I'd like it to get done before 25 minutes. That's my goal here. So here on find the sum or difference, first thing you want to do is you're going to want to factor these. Okay, you're going to want to take this thing here and factor it. So it's x minus 3, it's x plus 3. And this guy down here is 2x plus 3. After you have it factored, then you want to ask, what's the LCD? What does everything need? Well, everything clearly needs a 2, right? Got to have that 2. It's got an x plus 3 in there, might as well put x plus 3. Okay, well, this thing over here already has an x plus 3, so I don't have to worry about that. X plus 3, x plus 3. But it also has an x minus 3. That means this thing here, right, is my least common divisor. I got to get both of these to look exactly like this thing over here. Okay, well, how do you do that? This one down here would need what, 2 times that? Oh, then got to do its top. What would this one over here need, right? Well, I need an x minus 3. Oh, well, if I do that to the bottom, I do it to the top. Don't forget, this is plus a negative. Now I'm taking 2 times 8, that's 16. It's negative 2 into it, so that's negative 2x. This is positive 6. That's all on the top. The bottom is 2 times x minus 3 times x plus 3. If I simplify it a little bit, right, the top here would be a negative 2x plus 24 all over 2 times x minus 3 times x plus 3. If I look at just the top now, does it factor? Yeah, I think a 2 comes out of that. Right? So if I take a 2 out, that's a negative x plus 12 all over 2 times x minus 3 times x plus 3. We've talked about this form before. This is factored form, which is useful, especially to find excluded values. X cannot equal here. This 2 doesn't do anything to me. This 3, oh, if I put a 3 in there, that's 0. Negative 3, that's 0, so it's plus or minus 3. These 2's cancel. I'll have a negative x plus 12 over x minus 3, x plus 3. And then this is my solution. Okay, kind of picking up our pace as we get going. And you guys will catch a rhythm too. All right, so my second to last example here. Again, pause the video. You can try this one out on your own if you feel confident. First thing I want to do is factor this. Oh, but I don't think it factors. I don't know any 6 is in a perfect square, which means I'm stuck with that thing. Okay, well, no biggie, I guess. Then we need to look at the bottom of the other one. Oh, the other one's just 1. That's nice. So the least common divisor, well, I would just need an x squared minus 6. Well, that means I just have to multiply this one by x squared minus 6. What I do the bottom, I do the top. Those look pretty good. Already an addition sign here, so I'm just going to distribute. Oh, that's 3x plus 15. Again, I'm just dropping this stuff down, right? I'm just taking that down. Plus 3x squared minus 18. That's the top. All over x squared minus 6. Well, let's see here. This 15 and this negative 18 make a negative 3. Putting the stuff in order like you know that you're supposed to. Does the top factor at all? I don't think so, but I need to state my excluded values. X cannot be, well, let's see here. That's x squared minus 6 equals 0. Right? Taking the bottom, setting it equal to 0. So x squared cannot be 6, square root of that. Oh, x squared, x just can't be plus or minus radical 6. And there I have it. Okay. And we're on to my last problem here. I said I wanted to try to keep the video about under 25 minutes. I think I'm going to do that relatively easily. This is the last one. Okay. There is going to be a 9.3 day 2 coming your way. Talking about complex fractions. But we're on to our last problem for today's video. For 9.3 day 1. Again, you need to take a second to write down this beast here. Okay, because we're going to have one like this. First thing you want to do when you go through these problems is you got to factor the bottoms if you can. You got to factor the bottoms if you can. All right, and when I look at this part over here definitely factors. x2 plus minus, you should be good at those now. This one here I think is factored, and that one there I'm pretty much stuck with. So the least common divisor now. Well, clearly I'm going to need an x minus 2 and an x plus 2, right? I would hope that that's relatively clear just by looking at this first one. Now, if I go to this next fraction, right, this x is missing all of this. Oh, well, this is also missing an x, so I know an x is going to be there. Right? Okay, well, great. Now move over here to x plus 2. Is my LCD up here missing x plus 2? No, it hasn't. So because x plus 2 is already in the LCD, I don't need to put it there. X, oh, it wasn't here. That's why I put it there. X minus 2, x plus 2, we already wrote that first. Okay. Now, Okay, now I go through. What is this first denominator missing? Well, it's missing an x. Well, if I do it to the bottom, I do it to the top. Next guy, what's this one missing? Well, it's missing x minus 2, x plus 2. What did I do to the bottom? I do to the top. Okay, what's the last one over here missing? Well, I have x plus 2, I need an x minus 2, and I need an x. Well, that means I need an x and an x minus 2 up here. And don't forget that this x plus 5 is in parentheses. Okay, so this one looks a little bit beefier, but really it's not too bad. It really isn't. Here, what I think I'm going to do to try to help you out is I'll try to highlight it in some colors. Okay, I'll start here with this gun. That blue, right, needs to go right here. Then I will do, I'll try this yellow here. Hopefully it doesn't change the color. This yellow, right, then go next. And finally, I'll try to do this here in green. This green, it's unfortunate it changed the color there. This green will go right over here. Okay, so I'm just going to write it out. I'm going to try to use just black pen. Hopefully you kind of follow me. This blue is 2x times x. Okay, that's 2x squared. Okay, here I have 3 times x minus 2, x plus 2. Right, from the yellow up there. And then I have, what, x times x plus 5. I'm rewriting it in an order that I think makes more sense. Here, okay? Now, the one thing I don't want to lose track of is this is a minus sign, so I need a minus sign in between them. This is a plus sign, so I need a plus sign in between them. I am going to leave the bottom out. I know right now that this all is on top, okay? I need to work this math down. This is going to get just dropped, okay? And I don't mean below that. I just mean simplifying it down. That is getting dropped down because it doesn't do anything over here. This becomes this. Here, I'm going to multiply this through, right? So that's x squared minus 4. And then I have to take it times a positive 3, which will make plus 3x squared minus 12. I'm just multiplying stuff through. Okay, this stuff over here, I get x squared plus 3x minus 10. And I need to take that times a negative x, which will give me negative x cubed minus 3x squared plus 10x. Finally, I am to this line, right, which I know is still on top. Do I see anything that can combine? Well, I see this x cubed. I think it's alone, negative x cubed. I got this x squared, this positive x 3x squared, and this negative 3x squared. Well, these two will cancel, leaves me with positive 2x squared. Finally, I have a plus 10x, and then a minus 12. Now, this thing is all over. Okay, that's the top. That's just the top. Well, what's the bottom? That is always the LCD. Well, what's the LCD that we got? That's this guy here. So that's x over x minus 2 and x plus 2. Okay, well, this is completely factored form. We just figured it out. This is completely factored form. This thing here, factored form. So I should take the time to state the excluded values. Well, x can't be. This one makes a 0. This one makes a 2. This one makes a negative 2. Oh, so plus or minus 2. Now, the only question is, does the top here, this thing up here, does it factor? Okay. Now, I could make you go through. I could make you go through and try to do it by grouping, or I can make you go through and do it synthetically. But for now, I think we'll just leave that stuff. And there's our answer. And that completes 9.3. Which means now you know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, simplify. Rational expressions, as well as find excluded values. What's coming next in 9.4 is we're out of expressions and we're into equations. And I just barely went over 25.